Welcome to the PrimeSpan Podcast, where we talk about aging, mental health, and living well in the years that matters the most. Each week, we cut through the noise to focus on what actually helps you feel clearer, steadier, and more in control as you age. If you're navigating the second half of life or thinking ahead, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to PrimeSpan Podcast. Today, we are joined by Mari Pratt. Mari is a business owner, a Pilates instructor, personal trainer, and someone who has spent more than 23 years helping people improve their health through movement and other things. But what fascinates me most is that when you spend that many years helping people move better, you begin to see patterns. You see who thrives. You see who struggles. You see what habits lead to vitality and what habits quietly lead to decline. So today we're going to explore what Mari has learned about aging, strength, resilience, and why physical wellness may be one of the most important investment we can make in our future. So Mari, welcome to PrimeSpan Podcast.
Hi, nice to meet you guys or talk to you guys. Thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, it's a pleasure. And of course, we have Ray accompanying me as a co-host today. I know, Mari, before we talk about physical wellness, before we dive into some of the avenues, your expertise, I think I'd love for people to understand who you are a little bit more, your journey, possibly. To my understanding, what you shared the last time we talked about, you mentioned that you came to the US, eventually build a business. Can you share a little bit? How did you put that together, and possibly what gave you the courage to take that leap, especially the entrepreneurship part?
Sure. It actually, being a Filipino immigrant, my parents really wanted me to become a nurse. And I think before graduation, I was already a certified nursing assistant. And then at that point, I realized this is not what I want to do. I want to actually help people move rather than seeing people who are already ill. I want to prevent that. So I went into physical therapy instead. However, the physical therapist I was working with sent me to Pilates school to help benefit her clients or her patients. And then from then on, actually, I started working for her for a little bit, going to school. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's something here. I really like this. Maybe I should stop doing Pilates, nursing, and I'll go into fitness because I really enjoyed this. So it's actually been 35 years, 25 of certified Pilates instructor, but I was also a personal trainer prior to that. Making means, just as a college student, you're just trying to make money while paying for college. And so, as I was a personal trainer and then became a Pilates instructor. And from then on, I didn't expect to be doing this for so long. And now I've had clients for over 25 years, and their kids are now coming to me, and they're now going to be grandparents. And now I'm trying to teach them how to lift up a 15-pound weight, because preparing them for their grandkids.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot to the fitness industry that I enjoyed so much, more than just the nursing and ill people, right? I wanted to prevent people from having to get there or end up there.
Mari, you took a different angle because most of instructors or professionals in the fitness industry, they don't go towards entrepreneurship, and they go towards employment or specializing as someone under someone's business. I'm curious, was entrepreneurship always part of the plan?
My parents said that my grandparents were, my grandma was an entrepreneur, but I didn't know her very well because she was older. I was going to school. However, I do remember the day that I came into the house and I looked at my husband, Steve, who's a police officer, and he's just that guy that, have a job, have a career, 401k, retirement. And I walked in the house. I said, "Hey, I just quit." He's like, "What do you mean you quit? Do you have another job?" I'm like, "No, I'll figure it out. I promise." And then within I think 6 months, I had a Pilates studio. Like it just fell into it. I was working at a doctor's office that had a Pilates little room. And
Mhm.
then it's like, you know what? You're doing a better job at it and I don't want to manage it anymore. Can you just take it over? So it fell in my lap. However, I've always been, I was a massage therapist. That was helping me pay for my schooling. So I always did the things on my own because my parents couldn't afford college for me.
Was there a moment during this time where you questioned whether the business would succeed?
No, I was like, if I fail, I'll find something else. It's better to fail to have tried than not try. And then, or it's better to have failed and tried. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, than not try at all. And then you regret so many things if you don't try.
I
And
mean,
maybe I got lucky, but look at the boom of Pilates now. It's been around for so many years, but now it's booming.
well, that life lesson you're sharing is actually is a very important for a lot of young entrepreneur, but also I think that's also something that people need to apply in life, especially the second part of life. That's something that could be applied to trying something, and don't be afraid of that. Just go for it.
And I think it's funny because I had a client today and I'm training her. She's new to seeing me. She's like, I don't think I can. I'm like, have you tried? She's like, no. I said, give me two of them. And she did two. And next thing you know, we did 10. I'm like, it's better to try the two. And then if you can't do it, then we'll back off and then we'll work to it. But instead of saying I can't, there's so many possibilities that you actually can. So she felt great about that. And she's like, I know, I got to stop saying I can't. So,
Oh, it's such a beautiful story. I have one more question about this because um being in the industry for 35 years and then being your own having your own practice out of your own business, what are the notable challenges that you face in especially in the early years? Did you have any of those things that came in front of you and kind of this is gonna be a little bit more challenging than what I expected?
you know, I don't know because I don't think of life as a challenge. I feel like we're lucky here, right? I have cousins in the Philippines who want to be here, right? So I never ever think that anything is, it might be a little bit of a hill, but I don't consider it as a challenge. I'm lucky to have been here or be here. So I don't, but no, I don't really think, if anything, during the challenge, let me think really quick. I think I got lucky because back then I was the only two studios in Calabasas. So
Mm.
I actually had a waiting list. It was when we bought a house. I'm like, okay, now we got more bills, things like that. So obviously your goals change, but no, never a challenge. I wouldn't consider it as a challenge. Challenge is if I only had one leg and had to walk a few miles.
It is actually a beautiful perspective. You're really giving a framework of what challenge is. And if you put it in that perspective, what people perceives as challenging, it's really just part of it.
Yeah. You and I get fresh water all the time. There's other places don't get fresh water. That's the challenge. Right? Things that you can't attain. There's always options to change and find a different lane, right? A different path.
Mhm.
We have that. That's a blessing, not a challenge.
A beautiful way to say it. You've seen people age, as you mentioned earlier, 35 years in your studio, 20, about 20 plus years. Most people only experience their own aging, but you've seen this very differently. You
Mhm.
see how people evolve. What difference do you see between people who remain physically active and those who become sedentary? For especially, this is good for our listeners, especially the ones that suddenly enters your practice. What are the things that you typically see?
Well, the people who come into my practice want to get stronger, right? So they have a goal and they want the longevity. So that's the easy part. I mean, again, And this is just perfect timing. We're going to go back to my mom. She has a great community. She has friends. She has things like that, but she has never lifted weights before, right? Whereas the clients that are coming in, they know how important it is and they will pay the extra money to live longer and be healthier. Is that the question you were asking?
Yeah. I have a follow-up question on that actually. When a lot of, I'm sure you've seen clients that have not been consistent with their physical well-being. So what are some of the earlier signs that you typically see when someone is losing their physical strength or physical independence?
Well, you mean like why did they finally come to me? Because they're losing their independence and feeling. I think before back then when I was doing it for 25 years ago, it was all vanity, right? A lot of my clients just wanted vanity, and now they're wanting to stay stronger, to live longer. But I think the difference is because the people that I'm seeing are not necessarily fit; they want to get fit.
So actually, it's a perfect frame because what's happening is you have very few clients, I'm assuming, that falls off their physical program because of what they find value when they start
Right.
working.
So they're not falling into,
Yeah.
right? Family members, maybe. Yeah. So family members, I can see that happening. Like I see it in my mom, not seeing her pick up her weights, injuries start to happen a lot more. Her heart, her hip surgery. There's just so many things that she could have prevented. She had just followed her daughter, what her daughter was nagging her about. Just, just being healthier. She thinks dancing or walking was enough, but there's just so much more than just that.
Well, you're bringing up something that is, I think, is very valuable, something similar that we're trying to emphasize, the preventable things that we can change. And people assume that getting weak is part of normal aging or losing muscle tone is part of normal aging. But the reality is you can slow this down.
It's a fact that you could start working out at 50 and 60 years old and get that muscle mass. Your muscles don't understand how old you are,
Right.
right? It might be just a little heavier, but you're still lifting something that's not normal to you. So you're challenging those muscles and it will still work for you. But people just tend to think, oh, I'm old. I don't need to do that. I'm not sure if it's starting to change, but it's harder to change people like my mom who is at that age already. But for you and me who are in 50s, 40s, we're understanding that now. So we're out and we're going to the gym and doing things for ourselves.
It's a beautifully stated point. I'm gonna have one more question that I'm gonna make sure that Ray gets to add in this portion. If you have one factor that most predict whether someone remains independent later in life, what would it be, Mari?
You're asking my opinion on that?
Yeah.
Lift weights.
Why?
I mean, obviously, there's so many factors to it, right? Eat healthy, have a good community, things like that. But if you don't have a community, at least lift some weights so you could do things on your own and not have, then you can, if you fall, you could get yourself up. Again, obviously, community is important. Talking to other people, that's a brain factor.
Right.
But on my end, I believe if you're strong and walk and if you can't walk and if you can't do things, you're not going to leave your house. Being strong gives you confidence too.
Yeah.
If you're frail, you're not going to want to go outside.
It shrinks your world.
Yeah, and you're always afraid. You're always afraid that you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, that is an excellent point. Ray, I'm sure you're already brewing some thoughts as we're talking here.
Mari, you shared so many nuggets of information from your perspective. I think it can be very intimidating for someone to think about lifting weights if they've never done it before or if they're interested to do it but don't know where to start. How do you encourage your clients, your members to get started? Someone who's trying to do it new, or weights are really intimidating. I don't know which ones to buy, or I don't know how to do it. How do you encourage people to start doing something like that?
I'm going to use my mom for an example for all of our conversations right now.
Perfect. I use my mom too every time.
Yeah, she is, again, she'll walk my dog, she'll do things like that, she'll sit, but a lot of times she won't do any weights. So I gave her 2 water bottles. I said, put it in your hands, walk, and then when you get to that bench, I want you to start lifting your legs, like, just a little leg lift 20 times, and then you can keep on going and then come back home. Right. So little things like that, baby steps to that. And then 2 pound weights, 1 pound weights, just it's all about baby steps. And once they feel like, oh, that 2 pound weight isn't so hard anymore, then they start to move up. And we joke around at the studio because it's not that I'm very strict. I'm very firm, I should say. So my rule at my studio for my clients, my male clients, you cannot have your wife lift heavier than you. That's just a basic rule. So if your wife is carrying 10 pounds, you need to carry 15, right? So, and then for my female ladies, your grandma or whatever can't be lifting heavier than you. And I know your purse is a lot heavier. So lift the 10-pound weight. But I think it's just, giving them a little bit of a perspective of your purse is about 10-pound weights. So you can carry 10-pound weights and do that as simple as 2 sets 10 times in the morning or at night, and then you'll work up to it. Just simple little instructions and movements, I think, helps get the confidence going.
I think you have a lot of our conversation, you're sharing a lot about your perspective and how you see things. And that's one of the things that we want people to realize. It's just how to reframe your mind and thinking about something. Yeah, I didn't think about the purse. Yeah, our ladies' purse, guys' purse, at least 10 pounds. Do a few of those in the day.
That's, really not that hard.
You have it the whole day in your shoulder. You should be able to carry that,
Yeah. It's funny. One of my friends who is an orthopedic surgeon who just worked on my mom, and he had just said that he went backpacking and they could only have so much in their backpack. And he goes, yeah, it's about, I probably packed 12 pounds, 12 to 15 pounds. And I gave my purse to my husband, and he's like, this is about 30 pounds. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can do a backpacking trip with 30 pounds of stuff in it. You don't realize how heavy things are until you actually sit down and weigh it.
Correct. Go ahead, Ray.
I have another question about, you mentioned you feel like you're pretty strict to your clients. Do you think that people, it's helpful to have someone who is your coach, who is someone who's cheering you on to support you, kind of like you're helping them stay accountable and pushing them to the limit? How important do you feel like that is for people's journey in their health and, focusing on strength?
I think it's very important. I think that's the reason why they go out and pay for it, right? Because if not, they just go out and do it at their own time, their gym at home. But I think my clients, obviously 25 years later, do enjoy a little bit of that push. And I'm very realistic. I'm like, hey, listen, you got legs still, use them, right? There are people who can't walk. Why not take advantage of the fact that you can still walk? You can still use that arm. And then eventually you won't be able to because we're getting old.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I have one last question before Adam moves on. You really kind of touched on one of the things that we focus on at PrimeSpan is focusing on the small daily habits that we can include in our day. You mentioned you advise your mom, just carry some water bottles with you. Something we all have access to, or doing 20 leg lifts. Like that is one of the things we encourage people to just start including a small micro habit into their day and just trying to consistently do that. What advice do you have for people who are trying to, make a shift and include these small things into their day? What advice do you have for them?
For somebody who's sedentary and is just afraid to be out there, I always just tell them, maybe 1 block today, but tomorrow it could be 2 blocks. Right. And then next thing you know, you're walking around then for a mile. And then when you're comfortable with that, start bringing the water bottle. I mean, just little baby steps really gives you the confidence and the strength. I think a lot of times we just need to talk ourselves into it. Instead of being so negative, just saying, I can do it. Let me do it. Let me do a block today. Right. And then you realize, oh, that wasn't so bad. So a lot of times I think that's what I do. And I encourage people that our life is short, right? Be able, if you can do these things now, do it. It's not fun to just sit on the couch. It's much more fun to take a walk outside. Something super simple.
You're describing really, as I'm processing it in my mind, is movement is really not just the exercise aspect. And one thing I've learned for the longest time working with older adults is that the physical decline often affects much more than the body. Just like what you're saying, it affects their confidence, identity, the purpose, the connection, the emotions. And you're really putting a lot of perspective in this conversation, Mari. I want to hear your thoughts on this area. What emotional transformation have you seen when people become physically stronger? Because you've talked about people has come to your studio, and I'm sensing a lot of success stories here. I'm curious, what type of those emotional transformation have you seen when people become physically stronger? Especially those notable wins you can probably share when you notice a big shift.
A current one, I have a client who is in her 60s, and now her kids or her daughter has a baby. So now she's a grandma. She's hated working out. She hates coming in, but she knows it's important. But just watching her, I think her confidence, and now she's coming in 3 times a week. Right? Just wanting to be stronger for someone else. It becomes more than just for yourself. It starts becoming for others, right? And also, too, you don't want to be a hassle for your family members. It's another thing. So I think that the shift of once they feel that confidence and strength of doing things, it's just, it gets patted on.
It is. Most of the older adults nowadays are worried about, and this is something that we've experienced and people share this with us, they're afraid to be a burden to their family as they age. And it's exactly what you've just described. Many of PrimeSpan listeners are typically parents, grandparents. Some are probably caregivers of their family members, and their health doesn't only affect them, and it affects everyone who loves them typically. Curious, Mari, from your own health journey, how has your own health journey influenced your family? And I know, Mom, we've been talking a little bit about
Yeah.
we have a little bit insight about that, but how has it influenced your family?
It's great. It's a great thing, but I feel like just because I've been so independent, I'm strong. I think I've injured myself and fallen once because I fainted. I have low blood pressure and I stood up too fast. And they had said, they're like, "Oh my God, Superwoman just fell." Right? So they don't have to worry about me. They know how independent I am, and I think they all work out now too. So what I've done, it's trickled down. They work out. Both my kids are in the gym. They know how important it is. And they don't have to worry about me. My husband doesn't have to worry about me, which is nice, right? He doesn't look at me as a frail person. So I think it's a great way. But if I ask for help, they're like, huh? What's wrong with you? What's wrong? Why do you need help? Which I really do ask because, again, the strength, the confidence, and hopefully it goes up until I'm in my 80s. That's the only thing that we can guarantee, is that at least as long as you try. I mean, there's going to be always accidents, right?
Yeah.
But as long as you try and do some preventative care, which is working out, eating healthy, then you have a better chance of not ending up in a home.
Yeah, it's that's a huge piece. What you mentioned strength multiple times, and I'm curious, what does staying strong for your family mean to you? Does that have a different meaning or deeper meaning?
Staying strong, it's everything. It's mental, it's the physical strength. They know I go to the gym, I do my thing, and I have my community of business, my clients. that I love them as much as they love me. So that, I guess, strength is and overall everything. It's not just the weights, but the confidence I have that I can walk out and talk to people and I'm not scared or I'm not alone. And even if I was alone, they don't worry about me that much.
Right, your deep thoughts.
Yeah, I've had a couple of chances to talk to Mari prior to this conversation, but Mari, I really want you to share about how you view like your health and what you're doing now as insurance, because I think perspective on that can really change other people's perspective.
The same thing that I tell my clients. I'm like, because, people visit me, but I always tell them, I'm like, you're paying a premium for your insurance that just sits there and doesn't guarantee you anything. I am guaranteeing you strength, again, confidence. But yeah, I think being fit is insurance for longevity, right? You're putting in the time, whether it's not necessarily money, but you're putting in the time to go to the gym. Think of it as lifting those weights is monetary, right? But it's going towards something in the future, which is your health.
That's such a beautiful point. You have an active engagement in what you're doing here. You can see that there's value. It's bringing back the value to you.
Well, and look at even just the police officers, right? You see some of them are just heavy set and they got great insurance, but this may be off topic, but it's still kind of in the health sense. If our county or community actually paid for our officers, but if we invested and made sure that they went to the gym, right? Then later in the future, you have a stronger police officer, you have just stronger everything. I know now my husband, he's in the SWAT, so they get up in the morning, they work out first, and then they go to work. Whereas there's people at the desk that are just getting heavier and heavier. And I feel like if the county just paid for that type of stuff and made it mandatory, they'd have less injuries on the job.
I couldn't agree more. There should be a program that should be part of a wellness program in every company if you want to talk about this.
Right.
You like call your employees if you want them to be healthy, have exercise program that includes them at least part of their day.
It has to be, it's mandatory that they go and do whatever, 10 push-ups or a mile run. Because if you just give them a gym membership, which they have a gym membership benefits, that doesn't mean that someone's going to go and do it.
Correct. And so if you really are concerned, you want to really create a healthy environment, you want to impact them. It's a beautiful, that's what back in school, that's what schools did. It's not an option for you not to to do physical.
Exactly. We had PE, whether you liked it or not. I had to run around, the what do you call it, the football field, and I'm like, no, I don't want to. But I had to go get my grade. Right. So it might be something, you have to in order to get a bonus or whatever it is. It has to be some sort of incentive because there are a lot of people who hate to work out.
Yeah.
But they love to get paid. So they'll do it in order to, to get that.
Incentivize it. Mari, when I was preparing for this podcast, I thought of something different that I haven't tried. And I hope you're willing to try this portion of the podcast. I'm going to ask you rapid fire questions. You can answer it for a short answer. You can answer it with a little bit more explanation. It's up to you.
Okay.
So just because as I was thinking about your episode, I thought you'll have some interesting thoughts around this. First question, fill in the blank. Growing older should mean blank.
Enjoying.
Next question, one health habit everyone over 55 should start tomorrow.
Lift weights.
Next question, most underrated aspect of healthy aging.
Positivity.
Next question, biggest fitness myth.
Weights get you bulky. Weights get you bulky, but just lifting weights doesn't necessarily get you bulky.
Okay. Next question, walking or Pilates?
Pilates. Do you want to know why?
Yes, please expand if you want to.
You can walk and your body tends to adapt to your own body weight, but you have to have some sort of resistance. And with Pilates, what I love about Pilates is that it's really the deep muscles, which are the, I guess, the structure of your bones and just the stability, right? Your balance, your core. It's the deep muscles that we don't get when we are doing weight training.
Beautifully
And
said.
walking, you could walk anywhere, right?
Yeah. Next question: strength or flexibility?
Strength.
Morning workout or evening workout?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Do it whenever you can.
Ah, okay. Beautifully said.
I mean, if you work all day, I sometimes don't get into the gym until 4 p.m. or sometimes 7 p.m. So, and you'll still sleep really well if you work out,
Mhm.
period.
The goal is to work out.
Yeah.
One thing people worry too much about as they age.
Not being able to do it.
Mm, mm.
Sometimes it's in their head that they think they can't do it, but you got to at least try. And then if you can't, then there's other alternatives.
Another question here. One thing people don't worry enough about.
Aging. And you take life for granted. You take your being able to walk properly for granted. You take sitting to standing, your knees, just everything.
He said, one last rapid fire here. What's one habit you've seen consistently among people who age exceptionally well?
Getting up, going, moving to like a community, doing something, right? Don't be alone. Go find a friend. As an example, my mom, she lost my dad, her husband, a long time ago, but she's just before her hip surgery that just happened. She was already looking at senior centers so she could go line dancing or yoga, right? So sometimes it's comfortable to sit and do nothing and watch a TV. You got to get out there and have a community, or it's your friends, or, keeps your mind going.
Beautifully said. Ray, I'm sure you have questions. If you have after that question, I would like you to share how people can find what we're doing at PrimeSpan as well.
My questions stem from learning more about Mari. I'm curious about all about her lifestyle. I mean, our conversations always go very fast here on the podcast recording, and it always strikes my curiosity to learn more about each of our members because you're so willing to share. I'm curious, even as a Pilates instructor, you've been doing this, your whole life. It sounds like you do more than just Pilates. It sounds like you do other types of workouts or other types of exercises. So what is your variety or concoction of exercise, flexibility, strength? What cardio? What do you do?
All right. For me, I got to do all different types. I get bored mentally. If I end up doing the same thing for too long, then my brain starts to get bored. So I change it up, which is not the best thing, right? Because some of the places I go to, they're like, "Why did you quit us?" I'm like, "It's not you, it's me." It has to change. It has to challenge me. Whether I'll stay with you for a long time, but mentally I need to be challenged.
What does your weekly schedule look like of exercise or movement?
Well, I'm moving all day because I'm either, with my clients, lifting them, putting them in position. That usually starts from it's 7 to 3 o'clock in the morning. Or 7 in the morning to 2 p.m. Then I'll get home, I'll run the dog, and then I'll just end up going to the gym. I can't go to the gym just on my own. And people laugh at me all the time because they're like, "You go to the gym, you pay for a gym and you have a gym." I still need somebody to push me. I still need someone to challenge me and tell me, "You can do more than that." Right? Because if not, I'll pick up the 10 pounds when I know I could do the 15. Right? So I tend to do classes. I enjoyed Bunda Bar for a while, which is the Stairmaster, which is great. And then heavy weights. I do the Pilates group class. So it's a variety of things. I just have to keep on moving. I'm not the best yoga person, even though I know it would be great for me. But my mind can't do that. It can't sit still. So it needs to be moving, faster moving things. However, don't ask me to run because I will not run.
Bunda Bar, I've heard. My wife goes to Bunda Bar too, and she said it really is a good one because you're in a stairmaster and you're doing some weights at the same time.
It's a great class. However, it's the same thing. If it's too much, too repetitive, your knees can go bad,
Yeah.
right? So if you just change it up, then you'll be good. You can't just do one thing all the time. Even my clients, they might be coming to see me 2, 3 times a week, but I ask them, go and do something else. It doesn't have to be with me, but something else.
So having a variety is important. Through this conversation, you're really inspiring me to add variety to my exercises and do Pilates.
Unless it works for you and you're being consistent with that, is the main thing is being consistent, right? But your body will adapt to what you're doing. If you're carrying 5-pound weights all the time, your purse is probably not that big of a deal anymore. It was at first, and now you're stuffing so many things in there that you don't even realize it is now 15-pound weights.
We got to get a bigger purse to put more stuff in.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it's anything consistent is always good, and that you're moving. But for me, myself, I need to change it up all the time.
That's great advice. And I think we talk a lot about the consistency of exercises and just doing it, even if someone's just starting out with a 10-minute walk, being as consistent as possible with trying that new thing.
And don't get me wrong, I'm an extrovert, so I don't get scared about walking into a class and looking, not so coordinated. I'll figure it out. But there are people who are intimidated by that. But if they find something that they enjoy, keep on doing that. But it's also a good challenge mentally to change something up, walk into something that's uncomfortable. It's good for your brain, it's good for yourself. And, it's good exercise if you end up liking that one too.
Thank you. I don't have another question at this moment, Adam.
I think this is a good portion for you to talk a little bit about other things that we're doing at PrimeSpan. And then perhaps also after that, Mari can share how can people find her after you share this.
Yes, thank you. So we encourage our members to, of course, listen in to our podcast on all platforms, the PrimeSpan Podcast. And if anyone who's listening is curious to learn more about our programs, our support systems that we have, you can visit us at community.primespan.life. Then also stay engaged with us on our social media platforms at primespan.life on all, Instagrams, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all the platforms. So stay engaged with us. And one of the takeaways from Mari is to have a coach, have someone there to push you and give you some guidance. And we do have one of our programs, our PrimeSpan Build Coaching, that we have our coaches that can help you stay accountable, 2 25-minute sessions a month on top of our normal service that we're providing. So please take a look. We also have some options if you just want to try it once. We have a one-time option for coaching as well. So please visit us if you're interested to take a step and just try that new thing and get some additional support.
And then Mari, this is a great time. I'm sure our audience, our listeners are curious. How can they find you? How can they find your studio? How can they join your studio? This is a good time for you to share a lot of that part.
Okay. I'm in the Calabasas area, but we have clients that come from Malibu, Westlake, Encino. So it's, within that 15-mile radius. You can reach us at www.betterbodypilates.com if you'd like, and pretty much all our information is there. And if they want to, they can personally text me, 818-259-5092. I always answer the calls myself because that's the reason why I've been here for 25 years. I give a lot to my clients.
We're grateful because we have so much in alignment when it comes to serving people and our view when it comes to serving the aging population as well. Mari, if every listener remember just one thing from our conversation today, what would you want it to be?
Move it or lose it.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. It's one of the olden rule that is very important for people.
Think about how many people have been saying it. And now, in my 50s saying it. Think of the people who were saying it way before. It's such a simple thing that's going to be used forever.
We're very grateful, Mari, for your time today. An hour went by so fast. Just when, like what they say, right? When you're having fun, time goes by so fast. And thank you for your generosity. I'm hoping that we can have you again for another topic, for another episode. This is such
Sure.
a fun conversation. And also, Ray and I are looking forward to visiting you. I'm looking forward to meeting you soon in your studio, and really just also trying to meet you outside the studio if that's something that we'll be able to do.
So it'll be in my term, my studio. This will be fun. You guys will have me to do Pilates.
Yes, I would love to. I would love to. I would
Yeah,
love.
so you'll see exactly how we work.
We may record that one just for
It
fun.
would be fun. Yeah, it would be fun.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Well, we appreciate you, Mari, and of course, Ray. I always appreciate you being here. To our listeners, if today's conversation resonate with you, share this episode with someone you want to stay healthy for. This is such a good conversation, and every step, every workout, every healthy choice you make today helps ensure that there someone some of the moment that matters tomorrow. So thank you all. Thank you for being here on today's episode. And again, Mari, thank you for your generosity, sharing your insights and life story.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. You guys made it really fun and easy.
Bye for now to our audience.
Thank you for spending time with us. If today's conversation gave you clarity or steadiness, take that with you. We release new episodes weekly. Follow the PrimeSpan Podcast on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss what's next. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep living well.